we have been tracking on this Michigan search, which Michigan does still not have a coach. It is 9:09 a.m. Central on December 22nd. Michigan still does not have a coach. And it's a little bit unclear where the search is going to go because, we've heard Kalen DeBoer and Kenny Dillingham's name so much around the search. They made logical sense. And Kalen DeBoer won. Alabama beat Oklahoma. So they are in the CFP for another 2 weeks at least, as they are going to face Indiana in the Rose Bowl. And Kenny Dillingham signed his new deal with Arizona State. It will raise his salary to $7.5 million per year. He's also getting additional resources to keep the program competitive on a national level. So there was already works on an indoor football facility. The staff salary pool increased to $11 million, which is near the top of the Big 12. There's also rollover clauses that will keep Kenny Dillingham in place. Some really interesting comments from Arizona State Athletic Director Graham Rossini. He said to my pal Doug Haller at The Athletic, quote, "I'm tired of the sleeping giant narrative. I'm tired of the concept of, man, they have so much potential. I want us to be the group," meaning the athletic department, coaching staff, fan base, community, "that wakes it up once and for all. There's just never been a better time." What do you make of this? What do you make of Kenny Dillingham staying put? We know his name was associated with Michigan. He said he never got an offer, but he decided to stay at Arizona State, a place that typically would not keep a coach that might have interest by Michigan.
Yeah, so I'll start with the Rossini comment there because I think it's interesting. We talk about this in a football sense. I've made this comment to you before, Nicole, where we talk about players that have so much potential. But then after a while, it's like, okay, we've said you have potential and you haven't lived up to it. So like, you're just not a good player, right? And I think it's really intriguing where he's like, I'm tired of talking about the potential that we have. The school, people want to go there and, they're in a really good area. They've got good high school football, right? Like,
Not far
all
from
the
Southern California.
Yeah. No, like all of the things that you could say, like, oh, this is what you would want to be geographically and from a setup standpoint, and they haven't broken through. I love hearing that because, like, at a certain point, potential is tiring, and you have to figure out a way to become competitive. Now, for Kenny Dillingham to stay, I was talking to a mentor of mine who is a Michigan fan, huge Michigan fan. And after this was announced, he was like, well, do you still think there's a chance? And I'm like, you're crazy. And he's like, why would you turn down $12-13 million a year potentially to go to Michigan and be out of blue blood and all the resources and everything else? And I think it comes down to a handful of things that we had talked about in the earlier cycle is number one, expectations, right? And like Arizona State wants to level up, but you go into Michigan and every coach is expected to have elite success there on a national scale. And I don't think Arizona State is quite there. Number two is Dillingham, very intriguing situation, family-wise, setup-wise. This is school. He wants to be there. And I don't think you can put a number on that for a lot of people. But number three, and it's the thing that we continue to talk about, there's a path. There's a path. There's a path to a title everywhere now. You can talk yourself into this idea of all we got to do is win our conference and then we'll be in the mix. And that's all we want to be is in the mix. And I think that's a really important thing.
They should do that, right? They should be in there every year in the mix.
They should.
In the Big
right?
12.
Like the Big 12 is absolutely, it was the James Franklin to Virginia Tech. The first thing you and I said is makes a ton of sense. There's always a path through the ACC. Right. So I think that's part of the calculus here is before you had to be at Michigan, Ohio State, at LSU, at Florida to feel like you really had a path to winning a title. And everybody's kind of sitting there like, yeah, I think conference is gettable. Like, I'd rather just stay here.
And listen, that conference has come close to getting two teams in. Like that will happen too. If Texas Tech stays as a power and Arizona State can become a power as they're trying to do. Yeah, that's absolutely possible. I think those are great points. He'd also been very emotional about ASU in the last few weeks. So that was something that came up when I would talk to Michigan alum friends and family about that was like, that stuff is real. Listen, we have seen people do a complete 180 after saying like, I'm not going anywhere, whatever, but it does feel like there was like a very emotional and personal reason to want to stay. And it was just about like getting the finishing pieces done with this contract. Michigan is now in a tough spot. I mean, we've seen a lot of former players and current players advocating for Biff Poggi. Maybe you do like a 1-year interim situation like Frank Reich at Stanford. You're shaking your head. I mean, I agree. I don't think it's a great outcome here. I actually think that they should be separating themselves from people from the Harbaugh era.
I agree.
We need a clean break, fresh start. But they still have the same athletic director in Ward Manuel right now. And they're doing these investigations that are going to take some time. We'll see where this goes, but I think you're past the point of like an ideal outcome, unless like you still get Kalen DeBoer, or you still get one of these big white whales.
So can we talk about the Ward Manuel situation? Because that was another thing that kind of popped up in that conversation. But I think more and more now, coaches really value the idea of alignment and being with people who they feel like are in their corner. I could not see myself, if I was a coach, taking this job right now, because Ward Manuel is a question mark to me in terms of his future. And the idea that they are investigating and whatever they want the results to look like, or whatever the case is, but just the idea that there's an investigation of their athletic department and how they run things right now, the idea that regents are beefing on Twitter, like that to me is as big of a deterrent as anything else. Like, there are reasons to stay. I think for people who are looking at this job to stay where they're at, there are also reasons to not go, right? And that is a reason to not go.
No, I think it's a really good point. We've talked about this before. Even before the investigation, you have an interim president, and then again, you do have this embattled athletic director. And that stuff does matter to people, especially if you're going to be leaving a good situation to go there. It's a top 5 job in the sport for a reason. So there will be people that would take it or would consider it despite all of that, despite the bad timing and all of those things as well. But until someone does, we should talk about those issues and those potential, lists in the pros and cons list, some cons to this job. So we'll continue to cover it. Like I mentioned, if they make a hire, we'll effort to do an emergency pod, at least a short pod reacting to it, and what it means for Michigan.